Hey guys, Kevin is for the season finale of Fear the Walking Dead, Season 1, Episode 6, The Good Man. And I was definitely looking forward to this finale. Last week's episode really showed me that the potential that this show has and how amazing it can be. And I know a lot of people haven't enjoyed this show and thought it was really cheesy and really wasn't as good. But you know what? I think this show did what it needed to do. Was it a perfect show? No. Is it better than The Walking Dead? No. But it was a good companion series to tie us over till The Walking Dead, which, if you guys didn't like this show, The Walking Dead does come back next week, which is awesome. But I have to say, this was a pretty great finale. I really love this finale overall. It was very emotional, was very intense, and pretty much was like a Walking Dead finale, which I definitely really liked. I didn't know how this episode was going to be because Fear the Walking Dead has overall been a different show from The Walking Dead, and I really didn't know what they were going to do with it, but I overall really enjoyed this episode. That was definitely the best episode that we've had of this show, and I definitely am looking forward to seeing what happens next season. So let's just get into it. As we know, last week, Daniel discovered that there, of course, were walkers hidden in that arena, and basically we see the dark post-apocalyptic burning Los Angeles cityscape take the screen, and walkers are hitting the doors, the arena, and already it's pretty crazy. So I thought that was a good intro, really got us into the atmosphere of what this episode was going to be. And Madison is then preparing boxes of supplies with Travis, and they inform Chris and Alicia that they have to leave. It's just not safe anymore. They have to get out of there. And that's why the soldiers are retreating, and Chris is concerned for his mom, Liza, because obviously Liza has no idea about any of this. She doesn't know what's going on, and he's obviously very worried about her. And he's questioning Travis about how they'll get her back, because they don't know how they're going to get her back. I mean, she got a job, and it's a job that she's committed to, and they can't just get her to leave. Obviously, this is her job. She needs to stay there. So Travis, Madison, and Daniel interrogate their captive soldier, and he explains to them how difficult it will be to rescue their families without him. And Madison tells Travis he can bring the soldier in his truck, and I like seeing how defenseless the soldiers are here. I mean, normally the soldiers would be very powerful, but here they're very defenseless, and it's mainly because they're just as scared. And I didn't really talk about this last week, but you know what? The soldiers are just as scared as they are. They're trying to do what they need to do, but they're just as scared. They have families, they have lives, and they want to protect them, because that's what soldiers are meant to do. And it's interesting to see this world where even soldiers can't really do anything. So Ophelia packs her bags, and Daniel assures her that they'll find her mother, and of course, he doesn't realize that his wife is dead, so this is a very sad scene, and she questions what they'll do with Andy, the soldier that was interested in her, and accuses Daniel of lying, and Daniel claims that he was protecting her, and that everything's gonna be okay, and basically, Madison then reminisces on height markings on the wall in her house before meeting Alicia and Chris of the car, and Ophelia follows, and a neighbor then walks their dog, and Madison feels bad about them being unaware of what is coming, because they, of course, know what's going on, and nobody else does, so that's why they have to get the hell out of there. So Dr. Exner tries to contact someone over the radio for transport. They're going to move to the Air Force Base, and Liza questions what's going to happen to her family, and Dr. Exner says that she'll have to be selective, and Chris's father can come, but he'll want his girlfriend, and his girlfriend will want her kids. So Liza can't come. Liza does know what's going on, but she realizes that she can't really go with them. So Travis escorts a cuffed Andy to the truck, and Andy begs to cut loose, but Travis wants him to take him to their family, and Andy continues reasoning with Travis and seems to be persuading him, and the three cars driven by Madison, Ophelia, and Travis pull out of the driveway and leave, and Daniel opens the gate for them to pass through. At this point, the finale is intense, but it's not that intense. Like, it's kind of like low-key, kind of a low-key episode at this point. And this episode very much felt like 3 different episodes, which was fine because it was a longer episode, and the soldier watched them leave and says there are no superiors left, and Daniel suggests that the soldiers save their ammunition as a horde of walkers follows him, and the soldiers open fire on the horde, and this is when things get crazy, and just out of nowhere, things get crazy here, and Daniel and Travis are arguing about doing the right thing, and that's one of my favorite things about the season. It's just the difference. You really see that here. You see how different they feel about what's going on and how they approach something. And that's something I've loved all season, is just how different these two have been. Travis obviously approaches something differently than Daniel does. That's just how it is and how their thought process is. And I think that's one of the most interesting things we've had all season. So Chris wants to tag along with Travis, but he wants him to leave behind for safety. And Madison tells Chris to take care of Alicia before she, Daniel, and Travis head out. And you can definitely see, again, chemistry between Alicia and Chris, which is probably going to become a problem if, Travis plans on marrying Madison anytime soon. That's definitely going to become a problem. But basically, upstairs, there are dozens of people in Challen, Link-walled holding cells, and in various degrees of impatience. Basically, Strand tells Nick, and that's understandable, obviously. They're not happy that they're there. And Strand's telling Nick to picture himself somewhere else with a needle in his arm, and he asks where Nick's home is. And when Nick tells him, he tells Nick a little bit about El Sereno. And basically, the lights go down and there's panic, and the man tells Nick that it's time to go, and Nick wants to know where exactly they're going because he doesn't know where they're going. And the man reaches in his pocket for the key and he can't find it, but Nick then produces it, having picked his pocket. And topside, there are people on the roof watching military choppers. And on the ground outside, there's a zombie outbreak. And the nurses realize that now, not only is the compound compromised, but their evac even knows it. And so it is very bad right now. The situation is probably the worst it's been. And this very much felt like a Walking Dead episode, definitely. On her way past the fence, Madison sees a crowd of walkers being let in and is shocked. They cut their way through the fences and into the compound, and I knew they were going to break that fence. I knew it was going to be that way. I mean, anytime there's a fence in The Walking Dead, that is a red herring that it's going to be destroyed. That's always going to happen. I mean, it happened in The Walking Dead, now it's happening in Fear the Walking Dead. That's just how it's always going to go. They're going to break fences, okay? That's how it's going to be. So a nurse radios for help, saying that there's time to extract them if they go now, but the chopper says they're assessing the situation and they leave, and the charge nurse tells people to go, then transports her downstairs and tells Liza that she will stay behind, and she tells her that if nobody has gone to rescue Chris yet, they never will, and obviously Liza wants Chris to be okay, and she doesn't really know what's going on with anyone. She doesn't know what's going on. Madison, Travis, Liza, Alicia, Nick, any of them. She doesn't know what's going on with any of these characters, and she obviously is very worried. So she leaves, and the other nurse looks over a room full of critical patients, and in the garage, Chris says that this is crazy, gets out of the car, and Alicia says they'll come back, but Chris says he doesn't want anyone to die. And they're bickering a bit, and, Alicia's saying that this is just what's going to happen, but Chris doesn't really want that to happen, but it's cut off by the sounds of violence above them, and Alicia tells them that they can't save everyone. I think that really goes with the theme of this season. A lot of the characters are starting to realize that this is just how it is, and that they're going to have to spare some people. That's just how it's going to have to be. Some people are going to have to die. They can't save everyone, and I really like Alicia telling Chris that. I mean, especially because we've seen how Alicia is. She's gone through a lot, and I think last week's episode especially definitely got her to toughen up, and you really do see that in this episode. I thought that was definitely very powerful, I have to say. So, basically, he tells her to shut up, and at first it seems like they're just arguing, but then there's motion nearby, and Chris tells her to get in the car, and back at the holding area, Strand and Nick start working their way outside, ignoring other pleas for help, and the man tells Nick that they're going to look for somebody called Abigail, and you're like, who the hell's Abigail? Who is this? And we don't know who this person is, and basically, back in the car, the kids are wondering about whether the undead would be interested in them at all, because, why would they be, or would keep moving past, because there has to be a reason why the dead want them, and a couple military men break the windows and grab them, though, before being joined by a third, and the men want the car keys, which Chris refused to give them, but when they start to get rough, Alicia gives them up, and when they get handsy with her, though, Chris tries to tackle them, and they knock him out, and that was really awesome, just seeing that scene. And everyone really had a big scene this episode, definitely. Everyone really did have a standout scene, which I definitely really loved. So inside the building, alarms are going off as the parents and a few other survivors are exploring the interior looking for Nick, and soldiers are looking of a horde of the undead white. Both they and the nurses try to escape in evac shuttles, and a guard tower falls, creating a point of penetration through which a giant horde starts to descend on the building, and inside, Nick and Strand find a dying soldier and steal some of his effects. Unfortunately, this man was actually supposed to be the man that was going to give them a ride out of there, but that's not going to happen now. So, entering the holding area, Travis and Madison learn that her son is gone, but stop to free those in custody. And Nick and Strand, I honestly thought they were going to kill off Nick in this episode. I really thought that was going to happen. It seemed like that was where they were going here. So basically, Nick and Strand are pinned against a door, while Travis and Madison are on the other side, and the undead descend upon them, and ultimately Liza comes in to get the door open just in time to save the pair, but also free a number of the undead and to roam more parts of the compound. I thought that was very smart of her to do, and Liza really had some good thinking in this episode. I don't know what happened to Liza, but she really got a brain in this episode. I have to see. Definitely was some. I have to say, definitely that was something I really enjoyed. So in the kitchen, Liza is then attacked by a walker, and the survivors manage to kill it, and a number of others before she can be infected, but another attacks Madison, and Nick manages to save her at the last second, and then the group has to run for help. So Daniel asks where Griselda is, and this is a very sad scene because Liza then has to tell him the hard truth, and I'm happy that she told him this because we knew it was coming up. We knew in this episode that, both Ophelia and Daniel were going to know that, Griselda's dead. And she tells them that the infection took her and there's nothing left to see. And they're obviously horrified, but I like that she told them and not kept that secret from them, because if she would have kept that secret from them all next season, it would have been really stupid. And I'm happy that she told them what was going on because they needed to know. It was important for them to know, and I'm happy that she did that. So the family and Strand come to the urgent care area where they ask the charge nurse for help. She asks where they think they can go, but ultimately says that if they escape through the intensive care unit, they can exit through a sub-level and get outside, but there's nowhere to go. And Liza tells her to come with them, but she stays behind to sacrifice herself, and Madison says that she's lost, and basically, you can tell with this nurse as well, someone like a nurse who's supposed to heal, she really can't do anything either because she's terrified and she just sacrificed herself. And I thought that was definitely interesting to just see the nurse just sacrifice herself like that. But basically, as they're preparing to leave, Strand tells Madison that they should head west, and he has a home on the water and is prepared. And outside the hospital, the group passes a massive pile of burned bodies and ashes, and in particular, it's a very sad scene because Ophelia thinks about, of course, Griselda and how she's probably dead and how she's probably part of those bodies, and Daniel's upset as well by the realization that she's there, and it's a really sad scene. You're just thinking of all the people that they've lost, and Ophelia then begins to sob, and it was a very sad scene overall. The survivors arrive in the garage to find the car gone, and the kids explain what happened, and while they enjoy being reunited, Andy then comes, points a gun right at Daniel, because Daniel was obviously pissed off at him, and Daniel tortured him, and he was pissed at him, and he's not going to let him do that, and he's not going to let him go without a fight, and Ophelia tries to calm him, but he isn't interested in hearing it. He shoots Ophelia, and I thought they were going to kill her, and then we get what we have been waiting for all season. I've been telling you guys this all season long. This is going to be Travis toughening up. Travis is going to toughen up. It finally happens. Travis tackles this guy, starts beating the shit out of him, and it's like, this is the Travis that I told you guys that we were eventually going to get. And this was basically Travis being pushed to his breaking point. Madison has to even pull him out of it, and I thought that was definitely very interesting that she did that. So they obviously spare him, and that scene was just incredible. And I definitely feel that next season, this is going to be the Travis we see. He's going to be a lot more of a tough guy, and he can thank the military for that. Honestly, it's the military that kind of helped him because they pushed him to his breaking point and got him to finally toughen up and not hold on to things and not have these emotional attachments like he has all season. And I'm not saying that it's been stupid. I honestly think it's been a good arc what they've done with Travis. But I know a lot of people have been complaining about it, and if you guys are upset about that, it seems like they're ending that in this episode, so you have that to be happy about. So basically, the survivors basically on the road in a pair of trucks. The group heads west, passing the undead on mostly empty streets, and Strand tells them not to go downtown as it'll be too dangerous, and when Madison asks if he wants to go back, he says that she's funny and they're going to get a lawn fine next month, and he instructs her on a back route through outer neighborhoods in the aqueduct area seen in the final scenes of the first episode, and I thought that was kind of cool. And eventually they arrive at Strand's home, where it seems like that's going to be the setting next season, and he has fences, generators, and cars, and basically everything that they need. But you know that fence is going to get destroyed. Because like I said, fences get destroyed. And you know that's probably going to happen with this as well. So he leads the group indoors. And you can now see that Ophelia was only shot in the arm. So she should be okay, even though she was only shot in the arm. And he tells them to help themselves to food. And Nick stands in a doorway and looks out at the ocean. And basically, they have everything they need here. And then we get this really great scene between Nick and Madison, which I really enjoyed. Nick stands in a doorway. He looks out at the ocean. And Madison comes and apologizes to him for letting them take him, because it is essentially her fault. She let it get this bad. She let his drug problems get very bad, and he scoffs, and the two talk about how strange the world's become. And I think Madison's realizing that those drug problems, all that stuff, really doesn't matter because how the world is becoming. And Nick says he never knew where he was going and that he's been living the apocalypse for a long time, and now he says everyone is catching up with him, and that very much is true. Nick is probably the one person that was the most aware of the apocalypse from the beginning, and the only other person I'd say was Tobias, but we haven't seen him in episodes. So I really like seeing that. I definitely feel like now they're going to come to more of an agreement, and Madison is realizing that even though, she cares about him being healthy and everything and drug problems, things like that, she's kind of has to put that aside because it just doesn't matter as much in this world. This is a world where certain things just don't matter. That's one of those things that doesn't matter as much, and Madison doesn't understand that yet, but the thing is, she's going to have to. She's going to have to understand that that does not matter as much as she thinks it does, and she's going to have to put that aside, and I definitely really like seeing that. I have to say that definitely was very interesting, and I really like that scene. Very much seemed like we're going to get a much different side of Madison and Travis next year, definitely. But after Liza nurses Ophelia a little bit, she tells Chris that she's going to be okay, and they hug, and Nick goes to ask Strand what he's doing, and the man, basically, he's packing, and the thing is, they're at his house, so why is he packing? And he says that he has to stay in constant motion, and he says no, nothing stays, and when Nick asks if the rest of them can stay, he says that nothing can stay. So it doesn't seem like they're staying at Strand's place. It seemed like they were, but now it doesn't seem like they are. So outside, Madison's walking through the yard, and inside, Nick asks where Abigail is, and Strand says that it's not here, and Nick asks where they came, when they came then, and Strand motions him outside, and they look through a giant pair of binoculars, and it's revealed that Abigail is a yacht on the water, and pretty much is his escape point. I'm pretty sure that Strand, he just wants to escape, he wants to get out of there, he kind of wants to explore the world, and I like seeing that. I like seeing that he just kind of wants to explore the world, and he's a normal man that just wants to, get out of there safely and basically just do what they want to do, get out of there, and that's what his main mission is, and I really like seeing that, so I really like that scene. So we're probably not going to see him ever again. I don't really think we're ever going to see Strand again. We might see him again. I don't know. But that could be very interesting if we do see him again. But Madison then follows Liza to the beach, and she's asking what's wrong, and Liza shows her an injury she sustained with the walker, and she takes out a gun and asks Madison to kill her. And I have to say, I pretty much knew Liza was going to die. The second that she was standing there and kind of saved them, I had a feeling that they were going to kill off Liza. It just seemed like the right character to do it to, and I have to say, this scene was very well handled. She tells her not to make Travis do it, and Madison agrees, but Travis comes and tells her that he's not going to let her do this, and she tells him that the infection isn't treatable, that no matter how you die, you come back, and that's true. The only way, I've said before, the only way to kill Walker is to shoot him in the head. That's how you kill a Walker, and she makes Travis promise to protect their son. The two cry together. He reaches out to Madison to take the gun, and basically, they're forced to kill her, and Chris and Alicia are eating popsicles on the porch. A shot rings out. They run to see what happened. They find the body while Travis is collapsed on the beach. He's crying, and that very much seems like this is Travis putting aside his emotional compass, realizing that this was his emotional compass, and that Chris is obviously crying over his mother. Madison goes to console Travis while the tide rolls in. They kneel there, they're crying and hugging, and it very much seems like next season is going to be a lot more intense. It's going to be a lot more of, it's just going to be a lot more crazy next season, and I thought that was an incredible ending, and I definitely really love that. Overall, guys, this was an amazing finale, but like I said, my only real complaint is that we don't really have an idea of what we're doing next season. I honestly have no idea where we're going next season. It does seem like next season is going to be different for the characters, like Madison, for example. She's definitely learning to toughen up, and she's learning that these things that used to matter just don't matter as much anymore because the world is changing, and it's no longer just a man-made world. It's filled with walkers, and at this point, it's just how do we survive? And I think Madison is definitely starting to learn that, as is Travis. Travis, I think, is definitely going to toughen up next season. He's going to be a lot tougher than he is, and I definitely like seeing that. And that's going to be very interesting. Killing off Liza, I just thought that was very, very well handled. I honestly thought it was very well handled the way they did that, because that was the thing that was Travis's emotional attachment. Now all he has is Chris, and basically, now that Liza's gone, there isn't as much. First of all, there won't be as much conflict between Madison. She won't have much drama to worry about. But I think it was the right thing for Liza to do. She was kind of standing in the way. She didn't really have a place, and I think she realized that even if she were to live, she still probably wouldn't really have a place. And I think that really is why she decided to end her life. And I thought it was a smart thing to do, definitely. And again, this is a world where you have to make irrational decisions, so it made sense why she decided to do that. And I like that Travis didn't want her to do, but then went through with it. I was thinking he wasn't going to, but I was happy he did, because honestly, it was probably the right thing for her to do, was for her to kill herself. Um, Strand. I don't know if we'll see Strand again. That's going to be interesting to see where that goes. I mean, maybe we'll see Strand again. I don't know. It definitely seems like Christian and Alicia are getting closer. Like, when I say closer, I don't mean as, like, a brother and sister. I mean, like, possibly boyfriend and girlfriend. I definitely see some chemistry between these two, and that could end up really badly if Travis and Madison want to go through with, like, a wedding or something. But that's probably never going to happen because of the Walkers and things like that. So, we'll have to see where that goes. We don't really have any idea of what Daniel or Ophelia are doing next season. I honestly have no idea what they're doing. But they are going to be with them. They are part of a group now, and we definitely have a more established group now of what really is going to happen next season. And overall, guys, like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed this season. I think this was a good setup. I think it was a good way. And yes, I know this wasn't maybe the most compelling events and maybe not the most compelling thing ever, but it was a setup. I like to think of these 6 episodes as a prologue as to where we're going to go in season 2 and where season 2 is going to lead us. That's beyond me. I have no idea where we're going in season 2. Usually I do, but this is one of those cases where I have no idea where we're going. It seems like we're not going to go to Strand's house. It seemed like they were going to go there, but now they're not. So I honestly have no idea what's going to happen in season 2. We'll have to see. But overall, guys, that's really it for my review. I know this was a shorter review, but there really wasn't too much to talk about. I just thought this was a really well done finale overall. Definitely a very powerful finale. We're definitely away from the military and things like that. What do you think of Liza's death? What do you think of the season overall? And I can't wait for The Walking Dead to come back next season. I will say that I have missed it while watching this show. I have really enjoyed this show, but I will say there have been several times where I'm like, I really wish I was watching The Walking Dead right now. There have definitely been times like that. No, this was not one of the best shows of the year or anything, but I do think it was a much better show than I thought it was going to be. But overall, guys, in my review of the season finale of Fear the Walking Dead, let me know what you guys saw this episode. I thought this was a very satisfying episode overall. I will see you guys in my next video, which I already reviewed the season 2 premiere of The Affair on my channel, but it's not going up till 11 o'clock, so you guys won't see it till then. But, so technically my next review will be for that, but my next filmed review will be for the season premiere of The Leftovers, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.